was 27 when this happened. My husband was away on a week-long work trip and I was staying home alone with our 2-year-old daughter. We live in a fairly quiet suburban neighborhood, so I wasn't too worried about being by myself. On the third night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to the sound of my daughter crying through the baby monitor. I was groggy, but got up and went down the hall to check on her. When I reached her room, I froze. A faint chime of her back door opening echoed from downstairs. At first, I thought maybe I was just imagining it, but when I picked up my daughter and crept back toward the hallway, I could feel a cold draft coming from downstairs. My blood ran cold. I didn't want to panic, so I grabbed my phone and whispered to 911 while holding my daughter. The dispatcher told me to stay upstairs and wait for officers. But then I heard it. Footsteps. Heavy footsteps. Slow and deliberate, moving across the hardwood floor below. I locked us both in the upstairs bathroom, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. The footsteps moved through the living room, into the kitchen, then stopped right at the bottom of the stairs. Silence. The creak of a step, then another. Whoever it was, they were coming up. And then, silence. Red and blue lights flashed through the window, and just like that, the footsteps retreated. By the time police searched the house, the back door was wide open, and the intruder was gone. They never found him. After that night, my husband installed a full security system. Cameras, alarms, reinforced locks. I still live in that house, but I've never slept soundly since. I often wonder what would have happened if my daughter hadn't woke me up. Would I have heard the door? Would I have made it out in time? When I was 19, I rented my first apartment. It was a small, one-bedroom unit on the ground floor of a not-so-great neighborhood. The rent was cheap, and at the time, that's all that mattered. I worked evening shifts at a diner, and I'd usually get home around midnight. I'd always told myself I was fine living alone, but deep down, I hated how exposed my apartment felt, especially with all the windows facing the street. One night after work, I got home, kicked off my shoes, and made some ramen. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. The curtains on my big front window weren't fully closed. There was maybe a 2-inch gap. And through that gap, I could clearly see a man's face staring in at me. I froze and told myself I was just imagining it. But then his hand pressed against the glass. He didn't knock, didn't move, just stood there, staring at me. My whole body went cold. I didn't want to make a sound, so I slowly reached for my phone and dialed 911. I whispered into the phone, explaining that there was a man outside my window watching me. The dispatcher told me to stay calm and to not confront him. The second I hung up, I realized the man was gone. I bolted into my bedroom, locked the door, and waited for what it felt like whatever until police arrived. They searched outside and found fresh footprints in the dirt right below my window. The cops said it looked like the man had been standing there for a while. I was shaking as they walked me through it. I asked them what I should do, and one officer looked me dead in the eye and said, "You need to get better locks, better curtains, and maybe even consider breaking your lease. The guy wasn't just passing by, he was watching you." I moved out 2 months later. For a long time after, I couldn't relax in any ground floor apartment.
Even now, years later, I triple check my curtains before bed. I never saw the man again, but sometimes I still get the feeling someone's watching me through the windows at night.
This happened when I was 21 and still living at home with my parents. They went on vacation for a week, leaving me in charge of the house. I didn't mind. I liked having the place to myself. On the second night, I was watching TV in the living room when I heard a noise upstairs. It was faint, like the sound of something shifting in my parents' closet. At first, I figured maybe a hanger fell, but then I heard it again. A soft shuffle, followed by a creak of the closet door. My blood ran cold. I grabbed a kitchen knife and crept up the stairs, my heart pounding in my ears. As I got closer to the bedroom, I can clearly hear it. Someone breathing inside the closet. Slow, shallow breaths, like they were trying to stay quiet. I didn't even think twice. I ran out of the house barefoot and called the police from my car. When the officers arrived, they searched the house and found nothing. The closet door was closed, but everything inside looked untouched. I thought maybe I'd lost my mind, but the next morning, when I went back inside, I noticed something that made my stomach turn. The closet door was cracked open just an inch. I know I'd seen it fully closed the night before when the police checked. I stayed at a friend's place until my parents came back. When I finally told them what happened, my dad admitted there had been a string of break-ins in the neighborhood where intruders would hide inside homes, waiting until they left. To this day, I don't know if I interrupted someone hiding in the closet or if they slipped out while the police were searching. Either way, I never felt safe in that house again.